Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of full council, Monday, 25th of March, 2024. Before we go into the main part of the agenda, I've just got two short items. One, I think it's appropriate for us as a council to express our sympathy and concern for members of the royal family who've, as we know, not in the best of health currently, thinking particularly of the King and the Princess of Wales and their young family. I think I speak for all the councillors, well, I hope I do, in expressing our sympathy and concern and support for the royal family at this very difficult time. The other item, we have had the small matter of a by-election very recently, and it is my great pleasure to present Councillor Dave Lunn with his Thatcham Town Councillor badge. Oh, thank you very much. It's a little bit like a blue Peter badge, which is even more valuable. Okay, apologies for absence.
Received, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, there is an apology for lateness from Councillor Brooks.
Thank you very much. More. Any declarations of interest? Okay, that's great. Now we're very pleased to have two presentations this evening from groups within our community, and as we normally do on these occasions, we brought those to the beginning of the agenda so that our guests don't have to endure the later items in the agenda and can take advantage of our interest at the beginning of the meeting. So our first presentation from Isabel Esperanza, who's Chief Officer of Citizens Advice West Berkshire. Do we still need to ask for? We don't have Councillor Pike here. What do we do? Yes, do I have a nomination to
So nominate or so propose, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder to allow members of the public to speak? Thank you. Excellent.
Yes.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes, as it's just pointed out, and I didn't read it at the beginning, for the benefit of our guest speakers, this meeting is being recorded for publication on the Thatcham Town Council YouTube channel, just so that you know it is out there in the public domain. With that, then I'd very much like to invite Isabel Esperanza to come up and to give us an update on the work of Citizens Advice West Berkshire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where do you want me to stand? I just want to be.
Just up here would be fine. Yeah.
So thank you everyone for listening to me. I'm going to try and be brief because I know you have a very busy agenda. I'm going to try and explain to you how we're working at the moment, what we do, and cover a little bit of what we've done over the last 3 years with your support. Now, do you have my presentation? I did send it to you. I haven't received it, I'm afraid. Oh my God, don't say that. Okay, I did think that I sent it to you about 1 o'clock today. I apologise if I.
No problem.
Well,
these things happen.
the slides.
We're all slaves to technology these days, aren't we? I mean, you don't have it then.
also made a mistake. I do apologise. I'll send it to you later, so you've got the figures anyway, and I'll try and remember what I had on it. So
I
the
mean,
first.
don't want to put you on the spot. Are you happy to present
Yeah,
without the
yeah,
slides?
if everyone is happy for me to just talk a little bit and then send slides later, you can have a look at it. There's about 10 or 12 slides, so, and they're mostly graphs anyway, so whatever I say, you'll just see on graphs. So first of all, what we're doing at the moment, we're still talking, so with COVID, we all went to remote working and start working over the phone. Unfortunately, with changing the way we work, lost a few advisors. Their demographic, the fact that they didn't really want to speak to clients on the phone, and also the fact that technology was harder for them. So since the end of 2021-22, we started coming back to the office. We're now in the office Monday to Wednesday. But we're still mostly talking to clients for the first contact over the phone. And that's because it's mainly because we don't have enough resources, and we don't want to tell clients come in for a drop-in session and then them traveling from Langbourne, Thatcham, and then getting there, and we don't have enough advisors on the session. So it's easier to not raise expectations if the client is just ringing in or expecting a phone call from us. We are now going to actually start opening on a Wednesday, and then eventually be open for 3 days a week. So first contact is still being done mostly over the phone. First contact is exploration. What are the client's problems? What do we need to know more? Are there any interlinked issues? So a client can say to us that I'm here because I've got a problem with my employment and I'm going to lose my job. But then we need to think, okay, fine, how are you going to sustain yourself? Is there a benefit problem? Do we need to advise on benefits? Is there a debt problem here? All of it we need to look at. So the first contact is exploration. We try to give some information and some advice straight away for what the client came in. But if this needs more, then we book an appointment to do more in-depth advice, to make phone calls on behalf of the client, to help them draft letters, fill in forms, anything, benefit checks, anything that is slightly more lengthy. At that point, the client has an option. They can come in face to face, they can do video, or they can do telephone appointments. Funny enough, a lot of our clients actually prefer the telephone because it's easy. They just are there in their home and they receive a phone call. They don't have to leave. We do offer to pay for transport to the office if we feel that the client's resources are not great. So we do have that as well. So appointment is more lengthy, we do more things, and then a lot of our clients actually will need a lot more than that, and they need casework and they need several appointments to resolve their problems, especially if there's more than one problem interlinked there. Which is what Citizens Advice does best, actually. The fact that our selling point and our uniqueness is on the holistic advice, because we don't just advise on benefits. We then look at, is there any debt? Can we help with any employment questions? Is there any housing problems? Is there any problems with children? We deal with so many subjects and issues, and we have the expertise to deal with all of them at the same time, actually. So that's how we're doing it and what we do with the client and how we're seeing the clients and how we're working. We are closed for drop-in, however, clients do come in and we do open the door and we do triage them. And if there's an emergency or we feel the client needs to be seen, we do see them as long as we have advisors in the office. So we don't turn anyone away. And you'll see from one of the graphs, from 2000, it's quite, I think we've seen this year until now, there's another week to go, about 1,800 clients in the West Berkshire area 25% of those are Thatcham residents, so about 400, I don't have the number in my head now, but I think it's 478, but you might look at the slide and be slightly different number. And if we look at what has happened since 2019, when we were doing our outreach and pre-pandemic, you can see that's 25%. And then in 2021, the numbers lower, and they're lower in Thatcham and they're lower in West Berkshire and Newbury, everywhere. And that's because there was a lot of help from the government. There was a lot of charities supporting. There was no evictions allowed. The debtors stopped chasing people. So there was a lot more support for families. So overall, our clients dropped. We are now back where we were in 2019. Actually, our clients are about 5% more than they were in 2019-20. So we're back up there. And demand is huge at the moment, and the work is actually very pressurized for advisors and supervisors at the moment due to demand. I would also like to, just so that you understand a little bit of what we're doing, I think the subjects that we've seen more in Thatcham, it's charitable support, and you'll see a chart where I compare this year to last year, so 22-23 to 23-24, and you'll see that there's lots of most subjects we're dealing now and have much more percentage. Oh gosh, that was so bad, sorry. We're seeing a lot more issues this year than we were last year. So things like charity went up by 50%. So it just shows the needs that people are facing out there at the moment. It's really pressurized. I think there's lots of housing problems. There's a lot of benefit, people asking for benefit advice, and that's because they can't afford to survive. And I think it's 72% of our clients are of working age, and 46% of our clients are actually working. And I'm talking Thatcham now. So all the figures I'm going to give you is Thatcham. They are actually working from 16 hours to over 30, which might not have always been the case, but the inflation has really hit people, and it means that people that were on what we would previously call an average salary cannot afford to eat and heat their home and pay for their rents and do everything that they used to do. So there's a lot of help needed. A lot of people coming in and trying to see if they can maximize their income through benefits. A lot of budgeting advice being looked for as well. Housing, a lot of housing with more than damp, private rented again, because people can't afford to be there. So, and then charitable support, which are fuel vouchers, food banks, cup heads, white goods, because obviously if you're living on red, or if you're just counting all of your pennies, if your washing machine breaks, you're not going to have money to repay it. So we do all of that with the client. We work with other charities like the Community Resource Centre, and we refer for furniture and white goods. We work with the Lions for carpets, and now with the Community Resource Centres as well. There was a time where we had our own money funded by the council to pay for carpets. We have fuel vouchers that Greenham and West Berkshire have funded, so we give clients fuel vouchers, and then obviously food bank vouchers as well. I'm trying to think what else I was going to try and talk to you about. Sorry.
It's okay.
You can't survive without presentation. Yeah, I'm trying to remember my slides. I'm really sorry. One moment.
Ask a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good question.
Have you got some sort of idea of the type of mental health issues that people are struggling with when they come to you? And if so, do you signpost them to other agencies?
Yeah, so there's a lot of mental health problems coming in, so a lot of the clients, I think, again, like it's 42% of our clients say to us that they consider themselves to have a disability of a long term health condition. And I don't want to lie to you, but I think around 30% is mental health. So people do come, and we're now training all our volunteers on suicide prevention, because having a client tell them that I can't do this anymore, I'm ready to stop, it happens a lot over a week now. So we're training everyone to be able to deal with that situation, because as you can imagine, it's not an easy situation for an advisor to go to. It's a lot of anxiety and depression. There might be other mental health problems, but we don't necessarily go very deep into that, obviously, unless the client wants to tell us, because that's not what we're there to do. What we're there to do is to try and resolve whatever problem they have, which will in turn make their mental health better, because if they're not sleeping because of debt or housing problem or relationship breakdown, then their mental health is going to be worse, isn't it? So
Yes, please.
I don't envy you. There must be problems that you cannot solve.
yes, there are.
So what do you do? Do you advise people as best you can, or again, signpost them as?
So we signpost. Sometimes unfortunately, there is nothing we can do, because we see clients coming in with budgeting and debt. So our debt team is FCA regulated. They've got the HUS for casework, quality of advice. So what they do is they help clients budget. They try to maximize income. They try to make it all work and then negotiate debts or go through bankruptcy or DRO. Sometimes there's nothing else that they can do to maximize the income. And there's nothing else that they can do to lower what people are spending, because it's not doable. And it's happening more and more. And what we have to think about is that just the fact that this is horrible, but it's the truth. A lot of the time clients come to us, they feel really bad. We can't really do anything practical to actually change their life. But we do try and we do speak to them, and we can maybe say, oh, what about maybe changing your Sky TV for something, another provider, or internet? Because the internet today is basic thing that everyone needs. And that might make them feel a bit better. And a lot of times just the fact that they are being supported and they talking to someone about it and someone is having a look at it, a lot of our clients then come and say, yeah, actually that made me feel a little better. But there aren't too many cases where we can't do anything, thank God.
Thank you. I don't know who was first, councillor. Councillor Lunn.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask whether you've noticed an increase in your workload with the changeover to universal credit, that has had much of an impact on.
Okay, it did at the time. Now, I have to say that the way that DWP and national cities, so when universal credit came in, all offices did universal credit, but the council was being funded by DWP to do all applications. So we couldn't do any applications. Then DWP changed their mind and thought that actually citizens advice was the right place to support people with applications and all the other problems. And we were funded to do universal credit from about 2000, from about 2000 and I want to say 18 for 4 years. But then again, when they did another big contract with DWP, it kind of changed. So only certain local offices, bigger local offices, were allowed to do what they call initial claims and deal with from the moment that the client wants to make an application to the moment that the client gets their first payment. And we were not in a position to bid for that because we would have to have 6 full-time equivalent people, which in a small office like us, just run, we couldn't do. So we did notice a huge amount more people. We still did deal with any universal credit problem that exists, but not at the first stage. So at the moment, our contact locally with universal credit is not as big as it used to be.
But the problems associated with
I know.
universal credits.
The budgeting, the problems that people had budgeting right at the beginning because they were used to getting their income weekly or quarterly and getting to do it monthly was huge. The fact that people, that there was such a long period of time, 7 weeks between application to getting the money, they were giving a loan and then they had to repay the loan, I think to begin with, I don't want to lie, but I think it was 4 months. So the money that they had at the end of the month was a lot less because they had to repay the loan. Problem is because housing benefit was always paid directly to their landlords. Universal credit, you have to ask for it. So people didn't really realise they were spending the rent money on something else, thinking that money belonged to them. I can probably go on forever.
So has given you a big increase to your workload, yeah.
That's repetitive. Yeah, a couple of questions. Firstly, could you sort of talk us through your outreach work and what that sort of looks like in terms of activities and whatever else you do to kind of promote your service? Second question is, it's obviously no secret that the Citizens Advice Bureau as an organisation is chronically underfunded. What would you say is the most important thing that you haven't got that you'd like to make it more sustainable, your offering?
Sustainable funding for core service. And that's what we're trying to do. The message that I'm trying to pass forward funders at the moment is it's very easy to, and I apologise, but I am Portuguese, I'm just going to say it. It's very easy to say that, okay, we will give you some funding as long as you provide this to us, whatever that is, and try to get us to do a project. But actually it's not very viable for us to do that because what we're really good at is providing our core service, and that's where our strength is. And if everyone says you can only get some funding because you're going to do as a project, no one will fund us and then we won't exist. So core funding that is restricted in the sense that, yes, we're going to use that money to provide a service for the community is important, but it can't be, because a lot of the funding out there is for projects, a lot of the funding, which means that you're employing someone for a year and then you lose the funding and then you have to really look at the service again and how you're going to, so it's just makes life a lot harder. On the outreach, I don't know if I responded to that part of your question.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so what else would you like me to?
What outreach activities do you do?
How long I was going to go. So outreach, what do you mean by outreach activities? Can I just, do you mean like working in the community, going out?
In the contract.
Oh, that one. Okay, I can tell you what happened with that. So when we did this contract, I believe it was 2021. We have been providing outreach in 2 surgeries. So one week we do 2 hours, so 2 appointments. Then the next week we do the first day on another surgery, another 2 hours. So, and that went on for the previous LSA. And then for this one that we have here, when the contract was done, we were already not providing outreach. And we weren't because it was going, so we couldn't. That was simple and I think there was never a problem with that. The problem that we had after that, the following year when we started actually being able to do face-to-face, was that we, as I said at the beginning, we lost advisors and we lost some of our most experienced advisors. And an advisor to do an outreach needs to be an experienced advisor. Because by membership, by National Cities Advice, no advisor can talk to a client and advise a client without having access to a supervisor that will support them and ensure that we've explored everything that we need to explore, and we've looked at everything and we advise the client on everything. Because our volunteers are usually in the office between 5 to 7 hours a week, and they do employment, debt, benefits, immigration. They can't know everything, and there's no way that they do. Our supervisors are much more qualified, they're there a lot more hours, they deal with the issues a lot more. And we have an amazing information system. But we do have by membership to have an advisor, we have a supervisor accessible. So we need experienced people to do outreach, and we lost some of those. And at the moment, if I tell you that if I ask at the office who amongst the experienced volunteers that I have, who wants to go and do Thatcham, I probably find no one. So we haven't been providing it since that contract. If you ask me what's my plan, I'm very happy to start looking at it again. I don't think that we've seen less clients because of it, to be honest. And actually, I've got the facts to evidence it. We haven't. We've seen 5% more clients than we did in 2019-20 prior to that. But it does mean that I might not be able to start it tomorrow because I need the resources, which I don't have at the moment.
Thank you. We have any other questions?
Just if I understand you correctly, if we've got someone who's in Thatcham who needs to go and meet the same advisor, did I hear you correctly that you actually consider paying their fares to get there? So it's, okay, thank you.
We've got several little pots of money where we can do that. So.
Okay, well,
I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But I guess maybe when you get the presentation, if you have a good look at it and then throw any questions that you have at me, I'll just come in and maybe not talk to you face to face, but answer them over an email.
that's fine, thank you. About the other questions that come up, but
yeah, Mr. Long, you've got my email. I'm going to go home and look at my computer and see how what I'm doing with the presentation.
Thank you very much for coming to
technology. Okay, so that leads into part B, which is to note that Town Council's SLA with the Vice Berkshire is due to expire at the end of March, and potential renewal will be considered by FGP when it meets on the 29th of April. What more we have to do with that at the moment? Okay. So, moving on to item 4, and I'm very pleased to introduce Annika Jevon-Clifton, who worked a fair bit with this year, and she certainly introduced me to my first Thai pongal at the beginning of the year. Amazing harvest celebration that I went to, and I was given the honour of lighting the fire, which was really quite an experience for me. It's certainly been a key priority for us this year, try and engage more with the groups that Community United represents, and to bring more of that activity into Thatcham.
How many people did you see that event?
That event, oh goodness, no, I mean it was
It was busy, very busy, yeah.
And 3/4 of them are from Thatcham.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Alice Quimsey Clifton. Just have a curiosity. This is very good. I always do this. Where do you think I'm from?
Can you breathe? Central or?
I'm a Thatchamite. But country of origin before the UK.
Sri Lanka?
Any more of this?
Thank you.
Who said that? Okay. Any more of this?
Is it just possibly huge?
Okay, more of this?
Well, my brother was working up there and I met some of his friends from there. You reminded me of them.
Oh gosh, that's quite good. Yes, I'm from Malaysia. My ancestors are from India, from South India, from Kerala. So if you look at the diversity of where people are coming from, and that's what it's all about, kind of. So I am the founder of Community United, started just before COVID, because when messages were going out to the community. When I say to the community, it's the ethnic community that they were hard to reach, seldom heard, difficult to engage and things like that. So I turned around and went to Sponsor Council and said, can you please change the narrative? Because the whole pandemic issue is not only on one community, it's on all of us. And that is why the word Community United. Well, it is all about all communities, not one word community. So our objective is to bring communities together through common themes. So the mayor went to an event called Thai Pondo. Thai Pondo means the Tamil community had a harvest festival. Can you tell me what is common to us? Do you not have a harvest festival in the UK? Yes, that's the same. So that's the common theme. Today is Holi, which is the Hindu community. It's a festival of color. The theme is spring, love, new life. What's that common to? Easter. So that is what we are trying to do, is to try and say there's so many commonalities. We may be different color, different gender, whatever. That is common themes among us. So that's what Community United is all about. So when we came about, we've been trying to do things through culture. Religion is very difficult to deal with, but culture. So when I just said to you about Holi and Easter and all this culture. So Community United came about in 2020, and we've been doing cultural events. So Stephanie came to one of our events. So last year, we were approached by Newbury Town Council, Newbury Racecourse, because they were looking at equality, diversity, and bringing in inclusivity. And they wanted to do an event. So they approached us and said to us, please we will provide you things, bring the community. And we had the community there to the stage whereby Graham Norman was also part of this. Gary Norman was part of the community singing. So we brought songs. Yes. So we brought dance and songs to the Racecourse, to the stage whereby now we are working with them to do more cultural events as well. So one of the things, you came to our cricket match as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I didn't join in, basically, but yeah.
So in 2021, just as we were coming out of COVID, we were like, what can we do to bring the communities together? We decided that we would start with sports. And the community themselves, as in the ethnically diverse communities, asked us to do a sports event. And we were supported by Falkland Cricket Club, as well as the Berkshire Cricket Foundation. And we did the one community cricket event. This year is going to be our 4th year of doing this event. Every year, the numbers are growing. So we started with 6 this year. It will be 12 teams. And in fact, last year, we had our first women team. And this year, we are having 3 women teams and 3 young people. So that is growing to stage whereby now we are looking at, we can't even reach statutory bodies in now. Now the communities are coming in to say we want to play. We're going to have more community teams playing this year, and it's on the 15th of September. So all welcome. And on that event as well, we also have the communities showing off food. There was community food as well. They did their own food and showed us. Just to share that the police win every year. Every year. And we need to find a team to feed them. We have not been able to, but they seem to want to come. So and we have been part of community events. So man knows this Thatcham Fun Day, we've been part of it. So we've been approached by John to say, can we bring the community to participate? And we have. And this year, for your Thatcham festival, we are possibly going to do an event there as well. So that is because our secretary keeps on saying, everything is movement centric. We need to be Thatcham centric. And I think it's not because we don't want to be Thatcham centric. We want to be Thatcham centric, but it's finding the place where we want to be. I mean, you heard from the community, so in Newbury, there's a Thatcham Newbury tennis school. They were looking for a venue, and that's another thing that's being discussed at the moment. So there are things that we are involved, because when it comes to diversity, people ask us, we ask the community, they bring the community and they do perform. And we saw them perform that years. And then we were part of the realized so we are part of the Grassroots Community Alliance, which means for the Integrated Care Board, Community United, Alliance for Cohesion and Racial Equality, and Nutilahu, which is a women's group, are going to be the Grassroots Alliance to speak for the ethnic community. So we are going to be doing that and sharing with the Integrated Care Board the needs of the community. In fact, you see, one of the things I did not explain to you all is, apart from me being the founder, I've got 2 other directors, who's Carol Jackson Durga, who's a DL, and also Julian Swift Hook.
Julian.
Yeah, Julian Swift Hook is the other. But we also have behind us 3 other people that support us as well, who are part of the community. So Pragna Hayes is one of them. The other one is Corinne Phillips and Anbu. I think Anbu is the one that always supports us. He's the lead for the Tamil school, and he has been the one who'll be supporting us in a big way. And so Karen's there because we won an award in Reading for being an organization that brings communities together. And 2 weeks ago, we won another award whereby Newbury Town Council awarded us the local group civic award as well, which I was surprised because there were 7 groups there. And when you see the titles of them, you thought, no hope in hell. So, but just to say that we have a lot of conversations with the police. So we highlighted Islamophobia, which is very, very high at the moment. The other thing is also what a lot of people are not aware during when Councillor Brooks was around, he supported the Regency Hotel with the asylum seekers. it was Community United who went and highlighted, along with the West Berkshire Muslim Centre, about the conditions, about what is happening in the hotels. And Health Watch West Berkshire did a report which is presented to the Integrated Care Board. And today, that report has been addressed as the report that is used to look at asylum seekers' experience. So that's been quite a fundamental change for us as well. So that's the other thing. Next slide, please. So this year, this is our ambition. We've got 3 events coming up, which is our traveling exhibition. What it means by traveling exhibition, if you go down, Mel, next one. Go back, sorry. Up, the other one. Yeah. So what it means by is that it's so all our theme as culturally better together, it's under the umbrella of belonging. We all need to belong somewhere. And we are all, so, so that is the title of it. So it's belonging. It's based on a belonging project from Northern Ireland, whereby we focused on stories of communities, highlighting what people brings to the community. So for example, I will just share with you, you just found out that I'm Malaysian. So in this exhibition, I will wear a sari, which is the color of the English flag. And my momentum is the hibiscus, which is the flower of Malaysia. So the sari is the Indian, the color is UK, and the flower is the momentum. And that's how the exhibition is going to be. So and also what we'll do is we'll do a story on top of that, sharing about their journey to coming here. What does it feel like from your homeland coming to the doctor country and belong? That's one of the things. Next slide. Then, so we have got, one of the things that we're doing is we've got different venues. So when we say traveling, means really literally, we are going to be coming Newbury, Thatcham. We're going to Reading, coming back. So it will be, so the race course is going to be one of our venues. And Thatcham Rugby Club is also going to be the other one as well. Since we opened up and said we're going to be doing this exhibition, we have been inundated with people. And that's where I'm a bit concerned. The numbers are big, but whether we have got capacity and the funding for it is where we are. Okay, the next slide, please. So I spoke to you all about Newbury Racecourse. They were very impressed with what we were doing because we only did that event within 2 months. When they came to us, we presented this. So they wanted to do another event. So we're going to be doing a festival highlighting culture. And I mean culture meaning performing arts. So the community will be doing the performing arts. So there'll be dancing, there'll be singing, there'll be drums, all sorts of instruments. So it shows what is similar, what is not similar kind of thing. And also taste bits of food, not necessarily all types of food, but let you all try what the diversity is all about. So it's going to be an open stage performance. And that will be with Newbury Racecourse. We're still in discussions with when that is going to happen because our diaries are all of a sudden exploded. Next one, please. And our cricket match, I've said it before to you all about it. So the whole idea is to increase awareness and work to eliminate discrimination, racism, and also share the commonality that we've got. What we've also done is so the Scouts and Girl Guides have invited us to come and speak to them about culture. And we've done that. So we are going to be going to whoever invites us to come and talk about the culture, we will do. And you'll see it in the Thatcham festival, what we are going to be performing kind of thing. So that's where we are. We are all volunteers. None of us have any paid, I have my own paid job, which is completely different to Community United, but we are all volunteers doing this. And our funding very much depends on the grants that we get. So it's very limited. We do not have core funding at all. Ask me how we exist. I think it's passion that makes us exist. And that's the way we are. Next slide, please. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Alice?
Mine's not so much a question. It's being a primary school teacher. And we've just done last term about Hinduism. So we did about Kumbh Mela, which I've just remembered was literally just finished in March.
Yeah.
Which is obviously it's a festival that people do a massive, huge pilgrimage, millions of people descend. It's like they create a city in India. Interestingly enough, we didn't get anyone in. And I think it's okay, me trying to tell it and showing it. And I learn more every year, but I think it's really important someone going in and actually showing it themselves and talking about the Varanasi city as well and things like that. So certainly something for my outgoing school to remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the one thing that we have been good at. We have been, so when the scouts came into us, we went in there and talked about belonging, showed them the diversity, but also showed the common themes that we always have. And that's the one thing, you know, whoever we are, we've got similar things. We should never discard the similarities.
That's from McCann.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I love the presentation. I'm new to this community, so it's good for me to hear other parts of the community are actively involved as well. Funding, you know, it's the question that nobody really wants to ask. How do you find funding? Are you grant specific? Are you looking to raise your targets for funding?
So
because this is not cheap.
No, it's not. Every event that we have,
yes,
that we are planning to do will go on to the Good Exchange. And that's the way it comes out as. So we do put out. In fact, I forgot to turn on and say as well, we've now been approached by an organization in Reading to do Afro Fest in West Berkshire. So we are now looking at venues. I'll talk to you later. Venues as well. So, I mean, a lot of this is very much funding is beg, borrow. I haven't stolen yet.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that we're particularly keen on, is most of us are new councillors to this, is that we actually celebrate our local communities. And sometimes we, as property owners, shall we say, building owners, that we can actually facilitate a lot more things. So I'd be very interested to hear how things are going, what your plans are specifically within Thatcham. I know you've got 3 wonderful events on, but is there other things you're doing specifically in Thatcham, or is something like you need a whole 2 nights a week or something like that?
I mean, wow. I mean, the thing is, Thatcham Rugby Club has been one of the places that we've been very good. In fact, we were trying to get the cricket to Thatcham, but never got there. The thing is, we don't want to be in one place. We are not Newbury centric kind of thing. We want to be, the whole idea is try and go around kind of thing. Wherever the facilities are available, we will go. And that's the thing, you know. Yes, funding is our challenge. I mean, what I would love, my desire is to have a community hub where we all can come in, learn about things. The one thing that it's interesting, Reading has got it. And I frustrate myself thinking, Wokingham has got it. We don't have one. And it's the bit that I don't understand why we do not have one. Because that's where we are, you know, we should be able to bring communities together. We should not be separated. And the thing is also, the community is not asking for special treatment, just asking for fair treatment and be visible to you all, to show that, you know, they're here working as well. Your health services, 45% of them are our community. And, you know, so is the IT is here. So I just think that, you know, if we have a community hub, we could do that, because a lot of their events. I mean, one of the things that we did was with the Pongal event was a challenge to get a place to do that event. It's an outside event to show the boiling of rice. So the overflow of the rice is showing prosperity. And that's what it was. To do that was wow. It was quite a challenge, but we got it there. This is our second year doing it. So we're going to be doing it next year kind of thing. But a hub is where, and also core staff, because as I said to y'all, we are all volunteers. It'd be nice. I mean, we get demands, and I will say this, we get people asking us to do things. Because of our capacity, we can't. And that is the most sad thing of it all. In Wokingham, for example, I know I talk about Wokingham, they have got an equality forum whereby they will turn around and have communities come and share what is happening. And that is one thing that I would love to have in West Berkshire. Because I do think, I mean, the communities will only come out to you if there is a need for it. This equality forum is a safe place for them to share what there is. Just to say, I chair that equality forum.
Councillor Cottingham.
Yes, hello, Alice. I know we spoke on the Broadway in October, I think it was last year. Have you found a venue for the
Yes.
You have, you got one, okay.
But that doesn't mean that next year we could. I mean, the thing that we were also looking at was we could have Hennick. We would love to have Hennick. That is the place that we would love to have our next event and make it a bigger. I mean, Falklands is lovely, don't get me wrong, but the community wants other things going on as well. So we need to look at what other things we can do. So, a lot of this is very much restricted by venues. But definitely we want to kind of, if we could get Hennick, we would have had the cricket match.
The Pongal we could hold in Thatcham, I'm sure of that. I'd love
Yes.
to see that happen
Yeah.
here, yeah. Councillor Jeffrey.
I think it's sort of a similar question, but a little bit more nuanced. Are you saying that you need somewhere where you can be based and actually run a bit like an office and so on, that sort of thing? Yeah. And what sort of size would that need to be? I mean,
It doesn't have to be big kind of thing, I mean, if you're talking about office for Community United, it can be for 1 or 2 people and that's it. Somewhere that they can sit and do their work, but it's also staffing them. Because a lot of people are not going to, I mean, we did long COVID during this, so we were funded by Royal Berkshire Hospital because they felt that we had the knowledge. That's the one thing about our members, the management team. We have all got skills that we have ability to go to help. You've got ability to go into the police. Now we have got skills to do that. And so in that point of view, the Royal Berkshire Hospital felt we were a good organization to do it, and we did it. We had a guy go from West Berkshire right up to Wokingham, talking about long COVID, about the long COVID clinic that's in Royal Berkshire Hospital. And we demonstrated the increase because of the engagement that we did. So, that's what we did. But it would be lovely to have a company to get that set up, because I do think that, in this day and age, everything becomes very sensitive. We need to break that sensitivity. We need to be long. Doesn't matter who we are.
So time for just maybe one more comment. Anybody, any other comments there? In that case, thank you very much, Alice.
Thank you
I'm
very much.
delighted you've been able to come along and update us on your. fabulous
Thank you.
work.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Just to say, I've got another meeting to go to. No, that's the one thing that I'm on 3 weeks leave at the moment from my paid job to just do all the stuff for Community United.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 5, public question time.
None
received, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item 6 then, to take as read and confirmed as accurate the minutes of the meeting of the 29th of January and of course the follow-on extraordinary meeting of the 5th of February. Thank you. I have a proposal. Do we have a second? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. For the town clerk to provide and for members to request feedback on matters from the previous meeting. Nothing from you, from anyone? Excellent, thank you. So moving on to item 7, reports from the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. And I guess this is my last Mayor's report. I may come back, who knows? So, do we have it up there? Yes, we do. So, yes, February was a relatively quiet month in terms of mayoral engagements. I think things tend to take off more in March time. But we did have a very successful fundraising bingo night on the 2nd of February. Thanks, of course, to Councillor Cottingham, who showed all sorts of hidden strengths.
There was one very lucky table as well.
There was one very lucky table, yes.
And she hadn't bought about half the tickets. She was determined to win.
Good, certainly did.
Well done.
The 16th, I was delighted, of course, to support Cats with Fiddler on the Roof and Councillor Cole and the whole cast are to be congratulated on a really excellent production. Those who didn't get the chance to see it really missed an excellent production there. 29th of February, I joined the Jubilee Garden community here, which our own Sally runs, and we were making bug houses. And as you can see, that was the fine example that I manufactured during the course of the sessions, now cheerfully hanging from my tree at home. If you're not aware, of course, Sally looks after the gardens and has done since we launched them last year. But she also does craft sessions for people to come into the chamber and to have a chat and a coffee and to join in with various country crafts. And she brings in veg and all kinds of things. Some really good sessions. Those, if you haven't had an opportunity to drop into one of those, I would thoroughly recommend it. 5th of March, was invited to Ignite the Stage, which was a local schools event involving a whole range of talented performers from schools across West Berkshire at Arlington Arts and raising funds for Mary Hare School for the Deaf. That was a really exceptional evening. And my congratulations to all those involved in that one. Then on the 8th of March, I was invited to the youth club at Kennet, run by PALS, the charity I'm supporting this year. And that was a great evening too. We were making chocolate treats there. And the guy on the right there is a demon at Uno. And he beat me hands down at that event. 11th of March, the Deputy Mayor and I raised the Commonwealth flag and of course read the statement from the Secretary General in time-honoured fashion. And this year we weren't blown away as we were the previous year, as sure Councillor Brooks will well remember. 15th of March, a great evening at Kennet, their spring performing arts show. That's one picture, but there were performances from all different year groups, as well as an exceptional version of Hamlet that I believe they'd taken to a regional or national Shakespeare competition previously. And that was a really good and varied evening. So there's some fabulous performing arts stuff going on at Kennet at the moment. And I think we should be proud to have the school on our patch. 21st, yes, we, Jeremy there and I, and a great many other people turned out for West Berks Therapy Centre's 10th anniversary at the Frank Hutchins Hall. And there's a, you can see there was a cake cutting there. Just talking to the people that were there at that event, I mean, there was some sort of really life-changing stories. The equipment and the therapy that they provide in those sessions seems to be valued not just within the immediate locality, but across the country. People seem to be coming from quite far distances to take advantage of the services at the therapy centre. I mean, they, as you know, they have plans. They would like to do a lot more, but what they do there is really exceptional. And was very impressed talking to the people who joined in with that 10th anniversary. 23rd, Thatcham WI coffee morning. On the 23rd as well, PALS held their awards dinner. And that was at the Long Gallery at Englefield House. And I'm so proud to have been able to support PALS as one of my charities this year. The work they do is exceptional. The young people they support are fabulous. And Jenny and I had the most amazing evening at that dinner. We were involved in handing out the awards, of course, but the real award goes to Helen and her team and all the volunteers that support those young people and really improve the quality of their life and get them involved in all kinds of activities. And it really is a fabulous organisation. 24th, the Repair Cafe held their first meeting in Thatcham. They'd previously done one in Newbury and elsewhere, but this was our first one in Thatcham, and what a really good event it was. Councillor Pemberton was there as well, and we went round and talked to all the very talented, skilled volunteers who turned out to fix equipment and to help people with whatever they brought into the Repair Cafe. There was a steady stream of people right the way through the session. And, you know, with our sustainability agenda, it really is such a good fit. And I'm really pleased that it's taken off the way it has. And you got your handbag fixed, didn't you?
I certainly did.
I got some knives sharpened and Richard Crumley turned up with the urn from the Memorial Hall, and I believe he got that fixed as well. So that brings us up to date, and just a couple of things. Gary Paulson from the Volunteer Centre retiring after 25 years, and there's a celebration for him tomorrow. Also, I'm on Kennet Radio talking about my top 5 rock tracks.
I didn't know you played, sir.
It's not quite Desert Island Discs, but it's nearly there, isn't it? Yeah, don't miss that. And yeah, a few things coming up. There's an official opening of Surf and Fries apparently on Saturday, so I'll be there on Saturday morning, and have a new Italian cafe in the high street as well, which I'm very impressed by. Been in there a couple of times.
It's nice treats.
Yeah, it's lovely in there, isn't it? And of course, who can forget, hopefully none of us, the Thatcham 10K on the 7th of April. And I know
Anything about that?
Councillor Schubert is still looking for volunteers, I think.
I think I've got most of the table. Actually, I
Most
got
of
it, organised it. Just a few extra names.
And I'm at Thatcham Youth on the 11th of April, along with some reptiles, apparently. But yes, so don't forget the civic reception on the 19th and the annual town meeting on the 25th. And with that, I finish my report. Thank you very much indeed. Over to the deputy mayor.
Yeah, my report is much smaller. I did go to see Fiddler on the Roof, which was absolutely excellent. I went to opened the Greenham Common half marathon and the 10K. It was very muddy up there, I have to say. It's cold. Yeah, it was very cold. Brave people like Ben who were running. I was just opening it and then I could go home to the warm. And it was in aid of the New Life Special Care babies, and they were particularly raising money that day for a new incubator in Royal Berkshire Hospital. So really worthy cause. On the 19th of March, I went to the West Berkshire Music Festival at Hexagon. Unfortunately, it was strict no use of phones in there to take pictures, etc. But it was really good. It was all the primary schools in West Berkshire, and it was organised by the Berkshire Trust, Music Trust. I mean, how they got all those children together in one place. At one point, there was about 50 of them in the toilets, and then we couldn't start because they. But you know, to sing as well, it was absolutely amazing. It was really good. And on Saturday, the 23rd of March, I went to the Magistrates Court mock trials, and that was for Berkshire, and it was the semi-finals, so there were 10 schools taking part, and quite a few of them from West Berkshire. And the winners, the two winners that went through to the finals that are regional, were Kennet School and Trinity School. I have to say they were, I mean, all of the schools were really good. They were really professional. It was an amazing opportunity for young people to perform in the courts, to, you know, whether they were the prosecution or the defence or witnesses. They were all really, really good. But I was so proud that our schools won. Really excellent.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So, moving on to item 8, approval and adoption of committee minutes. To receive and consider adoption from the following: Recreation and Amenities Committee from the 26th of February. Do I have a proposer for that one? Councillor McCann, thank you very much. Do we have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Sharpart. All those in favour? Thank you. Planning and Highways for the 13th of Feb and the 12th of March. We don't have Councillor Pike. Do we have we have Councillor Pemberton instead? Do we have a seconder for that one?
A load of them.
Thank you, Councillor Watts. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Town Centre Committee, 18th of March. Do we have a proposer for that one?
Mr. Mayor, I do propose.
Thank you. And a seconder for that one. Thank you, Councillor Lunn. All those in favour? The unanimous one. And Events Committee minutes from the 5th of February. Well, I'm happy to propose that one. Do I have a seconder for that one? Thank you, Councillor Pemberton. All those in favour? Super. That brings us to the end of that section. Item 9, interim internal audit. Receive and consider the internal auditor's report following a internal audit carried out on the 5th of February. Clark, anything you'd like to bring to our attention on that one?
I can just talk council through the findings. So of the 204 items that are checked during the whole year audit, 125 have been checked during this interim, and the balance of 79 will be checked at year end. So just to highlight the small number of comments from the auditor and to provide our response. So The first one being with regard to standing orders. It was noted that the council does not use the NAUC model standing orders. It is understood that standing orders for the council are an amended version of the NAUC model. It was noted that the council's standing orders do not include reference to the tender process or the public contract regulations. So my response is that council was diligent when adopting its overhauled standing orders in 2020 to ensure that all mandatory items were included. And each time new model standing orders are issued, we will review our own standing orders against them. And details of our procurement process are actually contained within our financial regulations rather than our standing orders. So that covers really items 1 and 2. Item 3 is about the policy for issuing grants, and the grants process has evolved over the last few years. We're obviously now offering a small grant scheme in that, and as council may well be aware, all of our policies need a complete overhaul, and grants is very much included in that. But that will be a priority going forward. And obviously the process and the policy will align. So that's it's on the to-do list. That one. Having said that, the process does follow as we've done them in the past. General reserves. Council will be aware that when the draft budgets are being pulled together, we very much look at the reserves spreadsheets and take that into account when preparing the budget. At the moment, we adopt the budget and then we write the reserves policy to reflect the budget. The auditor believes that they actually should be done at the same time. So we can do that next time. And we'll adopt the reserves policy at the same time as the budget is adopted. So just a slight change in process there. And the final one, the response has been prepared by the finance manager. And it's to do with the allocation of interest on investments is usually done as a year-end process, but the auditor would like to see that done during the year. So again, just the change in the way that we do things.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions on that, Councillor McCann?
Just one on the very last item. Is that going to be a quarterly report back through or 6 monthly? What's the inclination, shall we say?
Yes, that will go to the quarterly meetings of F&GP.
Thank you, Councillor Cottingham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my background is internal audit and risk management, being a qualified accountant as well. The two bits which I pick up on is the periodic bank reconciliation and also the control accounts reconciliation. Typically, best practice for any financial accounting process would be having these reconciliations performed on a monthly basis with independent review, so segregation of duties. I would be more comfortable that the reconciliations are performed and then reviewed independently on a monthly basis. I think quarterly can be a bit too late. I think we all probably saw the news, local news this week, Golfer Hotel, how in fact it had an accountant went off with hundreds of thousands of pounds. What was the segregation of duties and then the oversight? So I would recommend that we have a suitably independent person to review these monthly reconciliations, as I say, from a segregation of duties perspective. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Shall I take that as a proposal? Councillor Brooks.
I wonder if the clerk might want to take that away with perhaps the chair of F&GP rather than us moving straight to a decision this evening. I think it's a proposal to review, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yes, okay, yes, indeed, yeah.
And happy to second. but it is a review of our process.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the proposal is to take that away and look at it with the, yeah.
Yeah, so
That's.
it's, as I say, it's typically happens from a month-end perspective. You have a control accounts, which is then prepared and then independently then reviewed, as I say, from the segregation of duties, and it just makes sure, as you say, these key reconciliations are performed and then reviewed. So it protects the organisation and also the staff for the organisation as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we have a seconder for that. Can I just have a show of hands on that one, please? Thank you. That's unanimous. Do we have any other points on that one? Okay. Thank you then. So, thank you for that, Madam Clerk, for running through that for us. Item 10, Thatcham Town Cricket Club lease. In light of new information, the council's asked if it wishes to amend the draft heads of terms offered to the cricket club from a 15-year notice period to a 15-year break clause. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would imagine that probably all of us are now pretty familiar with this whole issue. There might be one new member of the council where this is all exciting new stuff. We are in the process of the planning commission has now been approved, and we are in the process of the work for the final flood alleviation scheme to be completed. And the one specific bit of legals that is still outstanding is this particular issue of how we're going to renegotiate our lease with the cricket club. I think that once we had appreciated that we were going down the road of having a 15-year notice period, which would be slightly unusual, and that Sport England and the cricket club were perfectly happy that it should go to a 15-year break clause, I think that would be much, much more useful for this council, for the cricket club and Sport England. I think it would be a much more regular way of doing things, and I really do hope that council will support this particular motion.
Thank you. Councillor Cottingham, no doubt declaring an interest.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, I declare an interest with also being chair of the Thatcham Town Cricket Club. So the relevant clause within the existing lease between Thatcham Town Council and Thatcham Town Cricket Club is clause 17, which is termination. So 17A basically says termination can be granted of the lease by the lessee or the council giving the other 3 years notice period in writing to expire at any time. So in essence, so instead of being 3 years, it's going to be 15 years, and also 17B at any time by mutual agreement in writing between the lessee and the council. So I see no different, no reason not to change that. So it's just a case of changing the 3 years to 15 years. And also, I've got a meeting with Andrew Mills from solicitors regarding who's their expertise in looking at leases. So again, we'll be liaising. So to do it on a proper legal basis, I think the previous lease was probably done on a little bit more, I'm not saying informal basis, but I don't think the club got appropriate legal advice. So I think it's wise that both parties, and then we have the further negotiation of the lease after you have the heads of terms finalised as well. So which will be quite complicated with the various changes with the flood alleviation scheme and how land is going to be moved around and other bits and pieces. So yeah, I can't imagine that being pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think there'll be a few legal bills floating around.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Unsaid.
Which yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other sorry, yeah, it's councillor.
Yes, I think my question's been answered. By mutual agreement, it can be changed. I just wanted the confirmation of that. That's my understanding. So if we both get our heads together and in 10 years' time decide, well, we want to do something different and we both agree, then it can be changed. So it's not set in stone in that sense. It's as long as it's fair and considered by both parties. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Brooks.
Sorry, this may have been covered, it may be obvious, but just to bring it alive, does this mean in a 50-year period, there will be 3 15-year break periods where this could be broken? Is that, I'm dividing it by 15, I'm getting 3.
45.
Break, yeah, I'm getting 45, you can have the last 5 years as a freebie, but the idea is you've got 3 opportunities for break. So am I just understanding that properly?
Yeah.
I am.
I think so, yes, yep.
No, I think the clerk.
And Clark, would you like us to clarify any points here?
It could be defined further that the first break clause is at 15 years and then 5 yearly thereafter, for example, but that would be a decision for council. It could.
It's not clear then, is it? There's one break clause we're putting in here at 15 years and 35 years. It's not clear if there's another break clause, unless I'm misunderstanding.
No, see, it doesn't work, well, my understanding, it doesn't work that way. It's a case of either party being able to give a notice period to terminate of 15 years. So you say the party wants to give notice today of terminating the lease, it's actually 15 years ahead.
Yeah, but it sounds exactly what it was, and we're changing it for what reason? Sorry, that's a call.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, that is not what is said here. This is a significant change from a notice period to a break clause, which I have to say, a break clause I would prefer. The one thing that the break clause does mean, given that the cricket club would obviously, if the town council was so minded in the future to exercise the break clause, the cricket club would require considerable notice, probably 3 years at least, because if the council decided to exercise the break clause at 15 years and didn't actually give the cricket club any notice, then the cricket club's chances of finding an alternative venue are pretty slim within a short period of time. So whilst I personally would prefer the break clause, and I know councillor Jeffrey definitely would, and indeed the solicitors would as well, I think it is incumbent upon this council in the future to actually work with the cricket club if they were minded to exercise the break clause, to give them sufficient notice to find an alternative venue to carry on the activities. But this is not giving notice of a break clause. This is a break clause that is actually written into the contract. It's not a notice period. As I read it, solicitors may well, and the clerk may well correct me.
Councillor Lund.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to agree with councillor Cole that my understanding of a break clause is that a period of notice is given and that break clause is enforced on the date, so on the 15-year. My understanding also is that then once that has passed, unless another break clause is included in the contract, it's gone, it's done. So it may be prudent to then consider what will happen in years to come after that.
Forgive me, I mean, I don't think this is the resolution we want to get to. I think we need more clarity about the whole 50-year period. The first 15-year break clause comes and goes, then there isn't a break clause for 35 years. This needs more clarity, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I think it's the feeling of council that we need to take this away and get a little bit, councillor Jeffrey.
Mr. Mayor, I put a proposal up, and I frankly think at this moment I'd like to withdraw that proposal, because I do agree with Councillor Brooks that where I thought that we got to the point where we did all understand it and it was clear, I now think we don't all understand. So I am withdrawing my proposal.
Okay, thank you, councillor Jeffrey. Councillor Cross.
I'd like to put a new proposal that we defer this item for further information and it returns to ourselves.
That seems an eminently sensible motion. Do we have a seconder for that one? Thank you, councillor Cole. All those in favour? Thank you very much. We can take that one away. Thank you.
Will it, just a quick question, sorry, Joe.
Yes.
Quick question, will it be able to get back to us for the next full council meeting? Will we be able to? Because we don't want to lose any momentum in it. So I'm saying that'd be cool. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Councillor McCann. Okay, so moving on to item 11, Royal Berkshire Fire and Rescue Service have put out a consultation with regard to automatic fire alarms, which I've read. Very interesting, actually, very informative. And not surprised Councillor Brooks has his finger in the air, and I would be delighted to invite you to open this. And Councillor Jeffrey also has his hand in the air.
I'm not declaring an interest. I happen to be the chair of the fire authority and I'd like to talk to this item. I don't think I want to be part of you building a response because I'd rather responding to myself and Councillor Jeffrey is a member of the fire authority. Here's the simple fact of the matter. And it is, I think, quite clear in the document. It's quite visual. We attend hundreds of automatic fire alarms in a year, of which about 96% aren't actual incidents. So that can be higher, I think 97%. So in 100, where the lorry actually heads off towards the incident, the watch is on the lorry, all suited and booted and ready. 97 times out of 100, they probably turn around because they get a message in the cab that says, "Oh no, false alarm." I've been doing this a long time, as you know, nearly 30 years on the fire authority, and it's been a hardy annual in terms of coming back. I tried name and shame. I won't tell you who was a particular culprit going back 20 years. Then I tried name and acclaim, many less false alarms this year. Well done, you know. But this is quite widespread now. You don't have just a few culprits. You have a lot of these coming along. And it's not efficient. So we are consulting. I'm not telling you what we think the solution should be, but we're consulting to say, what do you think we should do? Should we wait until a fire is confirmed by the ubiquitous mobile phone that everybody's got these days? Should we continue to go 100 times and come back 97? It's up to the people who respond. And the other thing I'd add, what are we going to do with that time? Because something like over 40% of our incidents are attending automatic fire alarms. So now perhaps we don't. What are we going to do with that time when you can do more preventative inspections, going to buildings, talking to them about their fire situation and how they prevent incidents, more training for our firefighters. They won't be sitting around eating biscuits. They will be doing some other important work if the consultation suggests that we should implement a different way of responding. That's the background. Councillor Jeffrey may want to add. But thank you.
Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The words that I wrote down were, please respond. Council is asked if it wishes to respond to the consultation which goes on the 13th of May. Please do, let's respond. All the same declarations of interest that Councillor Brooks has just given, with the sole exception of I'm not the chairman of the fire authority, he is, but I'm a member of the fire authority. One of the bits that I'll add on to what Jeff has just told us is that quite specifically, when the guys and girls nowadays are at work, they are not sitting around having a cup of tea and waiting to see if they're going to get a call out. There is a whole program of physical fitness, of training, of development. They are actually learning things. They are being put through their paces. And when the beep goes and they've got 90 seconds to be on board, the fire engine, the tender, with blue lights flashing and moving out of the fire station. It is incredibly disruptive to getting on with basic training, learning, and all those kinds of things if they're going out regularly to something which is not a genuine call. So this is not, again, as Councillor Brooks said, this is not to be wearing two hats at once and say, this is what the response should be, but it is to say, council, please do let's respond. Please, I'm not quite sure how we're doing with timescales because it's meant to be in by the 13th of May, but I'm hoping that we could still get that through the system, would we, if it went through the FGB or something like that. I'm looking to the clerk, yeah. And any member of council who's got a point of view, even if they're not on that particular committee, can put that view in. But like Councillor Brooks, I think it would not be entirely proper for me to be putting a separate specific view in.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Councillor Cotton.
Yes, I have a great sympathy with the fire authority, and I think it's a very severe waste of resources that are going out to these. I don't know, maybe I mean, if with the agreement of the people generating alarms, agreed that if it was a false alarm, they pay for it, would that be a possibility? Because I suggest that as a compromise, because they do have a concern. Okay, so it's 1%, 2% or 3%. What if it's, the Vodafone headquarters goes up in a ball of smoke? The cost to the community would be very large. I know the likelihood is minute, but the consequences can be high. If a factory burns down, because I know they put caveats in there that if somebody's there or if somebody's sleeping there or there's human life involved, that's not going to, they're not going to dispense with the alarms. For example, hotel. Having said that, I was in France once and the fire alarm went off. There was no staff and the fire brigade never ever turned up. So, there wasn't a fire, but I got out of bed and packed my bags and left. So that was my judgment. Whereas in England, there was a fire in the middle of the countryside with a hotel miles anywhere, and within 10 minutes, and it was in the middle of nowhere, there was a blue light flashing coming towards you within, it was about 5 to 10 minutes away. And I admire that. But their time shouldn't be wasted. But there's a trade-off in consequences. Could they not? I would think this deserves to be discussed in greater detail at FNGP, so I would propose that. I mean, if the members of this council agreed that we do discuss that, but I would like to raise those points. Yes, it's 1%, but if that 1% is something that is really serious, how do we balance that?
Thank you. Councillor Brooks, did you want to?
I'm not quite sure where we are in the process because we used to be able to charge, but didn't do it very often.
Yeah.
Then we were told we couldn't.
Yeah.
I think that's where we are now. So the idea of charging is quite seductive, if you like, but I don't think we are legally able to. You have to go back with the views that I'm hearing around the table. I'm not trying to choreograph these at all. I'm just giving you a little bit of introduction.
Okay, thank you. I mean, clearly we don't have a huge amount of time to go into the detail this evening, but if we do have a proposal to delegate this to FGP, I think. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just before we do vote on that proposal, obviously when we get to FNGP, I think it's extremely important that all councillors should have had the opportunity to contribute to the discussion or the input. So just as chair of that respective committee, I might ask that before that meeting that they send to the all councillors who wish to express an opinion, send to the clerk what their views are, and then we can reflect all opinions, not just those who happen to be at FNGP at that particular meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important. Yeah. So if you haven't had the opportunity to digest it, please do so and feedback any comments to the clerk. Councillor Cottingham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's one aspect here which, just to add to the mix, is the human impact on firefighters. And so you imagine the adrenaline rush of going to a fire and not knowing whether it's a false alarm or not. So there's only a certain amount of that your body can actually take of you getting yourself up and ready to tackle a fire, and it does have a high impact on the long-term health of firefighters. So it's not just the financial cost, but it's also the human cost of people who give their, ultimately give their lives for their community. So yeah, this is something which we do really need to get a handle of and reduce the number of false alerts, which at 97% does seem very, very high, to say the least.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it would be nice to see if we could get back in line with the percentages mentioned in the report. Do we have any other comments on that then before we take a vote on that? So we have a proposal to pass this over to F&G and to ask councillors in the meantime to feed their comments back to the clerk. Do we have a seconder for that? Thank you, councillor Lunn. All those in favour? Excellent, thank you very much. So moving on to reports from the two surgeries. First one from councillor Jeffrey and McCann, who were present on the 3rd of February, and the second from councillors Cole and Cottingham, who were there on the 2nd of March. Councillor Cottingham.
I'll make a slight, Mr. Mayor. It wasn't councillor Cole, it was actually councillor Pemberton.
Oh yes, earlier on. Yeah.
Far prettier councillor.
Oh, certainly like Gerald.
Do we have any those councillors?
Oh, Mr. Mayor, it does sort of have the names there, doesn't it? I can tell you that it was put in Parliament Saturday, the 3rd of February, and there were a lot of people about. And I think that we spoke to each other more than we spoke to members of the public. And I don't think there's anything tremendous note that is there to be reported.
Hey, councillor Hart.
Yeah, just looking at the Tesco Northfield one. Sorry, looking at the Tesco's and the Northfield Road one. I understand that some work will be done soon at the end of Northfield Road. If it's possible to put that to councillor Pemberton, who might know more. Because the Tesco one, as I'm a local resident to that one, we do often see people inconsiderately parking. And Mrs. Hart often says, is there anything you can do as a councillor? And yeah, so it's just that I do know that there was some work to be done by the traffic lights. I haven't yet seen it, so I'd like.
Yes, councillor Pemberton, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So in terms of the traffic restrictions at the end of Northfield Road, the short answer is that they will happen this week. I think work is due to start on Wednesday. The delay has been mainly legal in terms of getting the relevant traffic regulation orders in place. There are cones at that site already, so there's no reason to suggest there should be any further delays. That obviously answers that query. I suppose time will tell as to whether or not those restrictions are complied with. I'm hoping that they are. There's obviously good reason for them to be. But as councillor Schiffer-Hart will know, in terms of the traffic problems further up the street, just outside the Tesco, there are already parking restrictions there, which people routinely ignore, both outside the Tesco and going around the corner onto Sagebrough Road. So hopefully that answers councillor Schiffer-Hart's question.
Thank you very much. Yeah, councillor Cottingham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not within the report, but something which councillor Stevenson raised is the entrance from the A4 onto the Broadway, and how cars have been going up the wrong way, up the wrong side of the road, ignoring the no entry written sign. So we've had PC Joanne Willoughby along with John Winstanley, Sergeant.
Willoughby, yeah.
Sergeant, involved. So she's had her team out to look at the road markings, and also we've been speaking with West Berkshire Council to get them repainted, but also get more appropriate road signs to have no entry on that right-hand side. So evidently cars have been cutting across, cutting into a car park. So there is a health and safety risk with pedestrians walking across the road or any other car coming either way. So hopefully we'll get resolution to that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've looked at that junction. I don't think it's got anything to do with the road markings. I think it's poor road etiquette on behalf of certain road users, but
Roger Willoughby did say that the signage could be improved.
fair enough. If there's opportunity to improve it, that's good. Good. Okay, did we have any, conscious of the time, did we have any other comments on that? Thank you. So moving on to reports from West Berks councillors. Do we have any West Berks reports, Councillor Cotton?
I hope I haven't said that here, but I'm a frequent user of the Thatcham Library. And would like to say that the toilets there are very, very well used. Especially the mothers and toddlers, as you can imagine. The changing facilities, and us older people who, you know, want to hang around and head that way occasionally. So I think the council's money that was provided to do those toilets is well spent. So it's a good news story. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I suppose the big news for Thatcham is that we came to our meeting of West Berkshire Council ready to move towards withdrawing the local plan that had been submitted at the very last minute before the local elections, and a Minister of State in the government, in the Conservative government, gave an instruction that we were not permitted to do so. Consequently, at the moment, we are obviously trying to fight things, as this council very well knows, through the Reg 19 process. But the thing that we absolutely wanted to do, that the electorate made very clear in Thatcham they wanted to do, which was to withdraw flawed local plan, still sits there with the potential for 2,500 houses plonked along the side of the A4 right the way into Midgham. And I think that is, to put it mildly, very regrettable and very disappointing.
Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. Yes, Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Cottingham may talk a little bit about the financial pressures there that we have managed as an administration, setting a new budget for the coming year that has some good things in it, as well as trying to build our reserves back because they have gone to quite a underrepresented state. They will be down to about £4 million come May, June, and then we will start to build them back up again. I'm acting leader at the moment, as you know, and I'm spending probably about 60 hours a week. It's, I say, exhausting. It does take up all of your bandwidth in order to try and get to the point where you feel you can make a difference. What do I mean by making a difference? Different ways of doing things, transformation, releasing money because you're doing different practices. There is one report coming through about being up close and how we may re-provision that, which will hopefully we'll get that through quite soon. With a potential saving of about £900,000. Now, once you start finding those sorts of money, then you are taking the strain off your financial pressures. And there's several of the schemes like that that could, I believe, we can all get them over the line. As I said, transformation of how we do things, how we provide services. You might be looking at about £5 million. Now, with £5 million like that, suddenly you haven't solved your financial problem by golly, you've moved the dial significantly. And these schemes are coming forward over the next, I can't talk about all of them because so they're speculative and a lot of work has to go on to make sure they're viable. But, you know, over the course of the next year, we are foursquare looking for these type of schemes to bring forward, we provide services and make a difference financially, paying that money in terms of doing better things, better processes. Look at how we fill potholes, how we provision roads. I was asked by the chief executive recently, I don't mind this being the public domain, I know this is being recorded and probably there's hundreds of people watching. The chief executive said to me recently, what's the big shining thing you want to do by 2027, the electoral cycle? And I said, I want to see our roads in a much, much better condition. I want to see our repairs of them much, much better. And it sounds mundane because it isn't a new community stadium or hall or whatever, but my God, it's what people will appreciate. Yeah. So we've got a lot to do. It's fair to say, and again, I don't mind saying this in public. I will be saying that at an annual meeting that we have spent a year learning on the job. We spent a year getting on the train, which was going at 70 miles per hour with all those schemes and all those processes already happening, to actually find yourself with the levers that you can start to pull and adjust the speed and turn the corner. And now, second year, this year we're coming into is about transforming the way we deliver services. That's very general. I know it's very general, but I think it's worth you all knowing, and the public will be showing it to our AGM as well. Thank you.
That's it, Nottingham.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it has been a bit of a baptism of fire, taking over control of West Berkshire on the 28th of May, when it was? 5th of May, but in that decision to the 28th. So yes, to be told that we were facing a financial crisis, in essence, if we hadn't put corrective action in place, we would have been bankrupt. And in a wider context, I think we've got roughly 1 in 10 councils saying that in the next year or so, they're going to be potentially reaching for the section 114, which is the bankruptcy notice. And within, I think, the next 5 years, you've got so like 50% of councils will be struggling. A lot of pressure on adult social care, children and family services. The model funding is broken for whatever party comes into power end of the year. There has to be a fundamental change in the way we fund social care and children and family services in the UK. Has to change. Picking up on the point which Jeff made regarding reserves, effectively we will have 8 days worth of reserves at the end of this financial year. We are looking to bank a further 2 million into that to increase it to 12 days. Still doesn't give us a huge amount of contingency for those black swan events. Those black swan events are a child coming in, requiring significant amount of care. Children Family Services is unregulated, so there are hedge funds and private equity moving into this space who are charging a lot of money. I think one council in the UK is being charged £63,000 a week for the £3 million. So it doesn't take too many of those to really blow the budget. And from my own perspective, it's getting your head around that we provide 700 services. So there's lots of stuff which we are doing on behalf of the community. We've heard a presentation earlier today about community. However, the political nature of what's happened regarding recent budgets of cutting national insurance, not allowing councils to increase their funding or not providing extra funding. So a good illustration is we collect £95 million worth of business rates in West Berkshire, but we only get to keep 30 million of it. So the other 65 goes part of the levelling up agenda. If we were to retain another 10 million, it would make a huge amount of difference to the residents of West Berkshire. So there has, as I said, been this political push to give tax cuts away in people's pay as you earn, but then because council tax is a regressive tax, is not again to reform that. There has to be a more progressive way of collecting tax locally, and also a fairer deal for councils to retain business rates as well.
Okay.
Let's keep the report there. Any more district reports? If not, we'll move on to outside body reports. We've got one part 2 item at the end, so conscious of time, if we could keep the reports to a minute tops, that would help a lot.
Wow.
Okay, we'll skip the first one, dementia friendly West Parks, Councillor Jeffrey, or Councillor Stevenson, indeed.
Very quickly, can I ask the council to note that Dementia Action Week is May the 13th to the 17th. And on the 17th, which is the Friday, we in Thatcham Town Council will be holding an event in our own sensory garden for that week. And I must say that my impression is that we are a very dementia-friendly county.
Yeah. Councillor Harts, library.
Yes, the library have been very busy with the Friends of Thatcham Library, spending money for services they provide, and have been doing lots of events. There was a Simon Jardine event happening there for children. There's going to be some adult ones as well. And yeah, they've been making the area nice. And I'd like to say, obviously, as you said about the toilets. So brilliant. Lots more people appreciative of that. Thank you.
Can I just quickly ask whether the first sort of use of the funding from the town council has been applied to anything?
Yes, so yes, of course, there's been some storage for games. There's been some shed for the gardening. Lots of little things have been coming through, been sending through invoices through to Mel. And so they've had lots of great ideas. We do a lot of it offline. So it's, and yeah, so they've had quite a few, and the garden looks lovely now. So it's going to be really, really nice to use in like the nicer weather of spring, hopefully, and summer moving forward.
Thank you. Shouldn't need to publicise that, I think. Hennick, Councillor Brooks.
Happy to add or inform the council that we will look for the master plan going out relatively soon in terms of how the field will be used. We're looking at it with a view to being quite ambitious. So at the moment, it's business as usual. But I know back at the district council was saying, how do we use this more and better and deliver greater services, greater amenities there? It's fine. It's well used. It's well liked. Yeah, and we go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Home Start, Councillor Pemberton.
I don't have too much of an update, but I had confirmed at the last meeting that the percentage of families that they do help that reside in Thatcham is about 33%. So as a whole, they support quite a high amount of families within Thatcham.
Thank you. Kennet Leisure Centre, do you have anything on that? No, Councillor Hart?
Nothing to report as of yet.
Thank you. Lady Frances Winchcombe.
Oh, we are in the process of appointing a new secretary and work continues. And anybody who needs some assistance when they're at school, please apply.
Thank you. Eco Friends West Sparks, Councillor McCann.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the two big headlines with this, at the last council meeting, obviously Thatcham Town Council signed up to the charter, which was a big move. The organisation itself has recently been awarded plastic-free community status, which is another milestone, which means that it can officially call itself a plastic-free community. It gets a certificate and access to certain information and other things that it can do. In terms of the events that have been happening, there's been quite a few. I won't go through them now because obviously we don't have time. Going back to January with the Massel Wrap, which I know you attended, Mr. Mayor, through to the Sustainability Fair over at the Corn Exchange, sort of earlier this month. Lots and lots of other things besides. The focus really, main focus is working with the community to make people aware of their sort of plastic footprint, for want of a better phrase, and the things that people can do to help. and also working with businesses to work out and understand where funding for initiatives can come from. In a nice way, I think Newbury do things a little bit better than we do because they've got the bid. So I think there's a big piece of work there to be done around how we can pull businesses in, get funding and work with them to implement some of the initiatives that we'd like to see, for example, the drain art, the recyclable bins, etc., etc. So yeah, that's for me.
Thank you. Excellent. The allotment club,
Again, spring has only just started, so I'm hoping at the next meeting I'll have a bigger update than the one I currently have.
Okay, super. So the Flood Forum and SWMP, in fact, at the last meeting of the SWMP, we considered that may be one of the last, as after some 14 years, the funding committee is basically reaching the end of the task for which it was set up, with the north and east alleviation schemes nearing completion and planning now passed on the memorial scheme and work starting there. That really is the last piece of the jigsaw that makes up that alleviation scheme. Quite a major achievement and undertaking, despite the obvious challenges that the last piece has raised for so many of us. But I think, considering the reasons for which it was set up, the fact that it's got this far and has worked with the Environment Agency, with the District Council and with the Town Council to protect Thatcham from the effects of flooding as occurred in 2007, is really quite some achievement. So if it is reaching the end of its life, I just want to congratulate and thank all those that have been involved in that organisation. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Flood alleviation. Need I say no?
Nothing to report on the Discovery Centre, Thatcham Parish Hall.
Right, yeah, yes, it's all going very well. We're in the black, making progress. We're continuing with a lot of repairs with the help of Greenham Trust, who's very wide in their remit as to what we can use the funds for. Started with guttering, it's gone to the roof, gone to the chimneys. There's a considerable amount of work to be done, but we're like all of us around this table, we're looking after the facilities of our area and we're improving them. So that's what we're about, and it's really good to see that it's paying dividends. Thank you.
Thank you. Thatcham Relief in Need charity and parochial charity.
2 unoccupied flats at the moment, taking the opportunity to refurbish, looking for new tenants once that refit has been done. Thatcham Relief in Need continue to give small grants for those in our community who largely fall in the gap between the benefits nets.
Thank you. Thatcham Support and Welfare Society, Councillor Pemberton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So it's been a really interesting year for the society, and activity has really ramped up. When I actually joined as the council representative, the society was struggling to find people to offer grants to, and it's now sort of turned on its head. Probably a reflection of kind of the issues around the cost of living, etc., etc. So we're now in a situation where the actual core funding is lower than what it was. So there's less money in the bank. That's being offset a little bit by higher interest rates than what the society was getting previously. But what it does mean is that there needs to be a bit more of a triage in terms of funding, who gets the grants and who doesn't. So one of the decisions that they've had to take is sort of ruling out applications where there's just financial hardship and no medical need, which is a real shame, because the two often go hand in hand, and it comes down to how well an application is presented. Future funding applications will probably mean more conversations with the Greenham Trust. Hopefully the Rotary Club might be able to put some funding in as well. I guess the problem with those is they're only likely to be one-off contributions. So kind of longer term, the society will need kind of more benefactors and more regular monthly donations. So if you do know anybody that wants to get involved with the charity, they're very much welcoming any support, whether that's financial or practical. And the next AGM is on Friday, the 12th of April.
Thank you very much, Sam. Cricket Club, Councillor Boyd isn't here. Councillor Cottingham, if he were, I assume he would say flood alleviation. Thank you. Thatcham Volunteer Bureau, don't have Mr. Foster here. Thatcham Youth.
So they've been doing very well. As you know, you've got the Reptile Handling Day and they've got the Easter Family Fun Day coming up very soon. So egg hunts, etc. And they've been having successful roller discos with the next one coming up on the Saturday the 6th. There we are, doing really well.
Thank you very much. Blue Coat School, Councillor.
Yeah, they're getting very close to putting up their brand new door, full English oak. It takes a long time. With being a listed building, documentation is just mad. But they're now, they don't flag, they're looking to their next new project is to bring the disabled toilets. We want to improve our toilet facilities so that they are disabled friendly. And that's our next project and our next financial fundraising campaign.
Thank you. Volunteer Centre West Park Steering Group, Councillor.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I've got a slight confession to make in that this item will need removing from the list. And the reason it will need removing from the list is that there is no such thing as a steering group. So the Volunteer Centre has a board of trustees, but no steering group. What actually happened is when I was co-opted onto what we thought was the steering group, I would often join Councillor Adamantos at the Suicide Prevention Action Group meetings, which were great, but they didn't see many obvious reasons for us to both keep going. So with your permission, I'd like that to come off the list just purely because there's no need for it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're actually seeking some clarity on this because Councillor Jeffrey was on this steering group, which was established by Gary Paulson last year. So there seems to be some confusion within the volunteer centre, so we're trying to sort it out.
Okay, so if I could ask you to look into that offline and see how to resolve it, that would be great. West Berkshire Heritage Forum, Councillor Jeffrey.
Don't believe they're meeting this year.
Okay, super. Suicide Prevention Group. Sorry, Councillor Stevenson.
I volunteered to be on the equivalent with West Berkshire Council, the West Berkshire Heritage Group, and we discovered it does not exist. That's why there has not been a meeting this year. I did ask if there had been a meeting, I had failed to turn up, but it does not exist. Or if it did, it isn't anymore.
Fair enough. We have our own Heritage Forum, which is certainly thriving. So we focus on that instead. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The biggest headline in the Suicide Prevention Action Group is that one has always meant to look at the prevention of suicide in adults. It's now looking at suicide in under 18s as well. And so the first group we had supporting that change. We looked at the new initiative online. It's a peer support group for young people, and it's called Tell Me. And any young person can just go on and talk about their issues in regards to mental health. It's monitored 24/7, so it's ensured that no young person gives any details that would identify them. And also, if it's felt that the young person is in serious distress, then there are therapists on hand to contact them and deal with that straight away. And the other organisation, Time to Talk, are looking at online as well. They're currently piloting. They haven't had as much response as they would hope. They've got counsellors kind of sitting there waiting for people to access that resource. So if you know of people that are on waiting lists in other places, then Time to Talk has got that resource available.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And finally, West Parks Therapy Centre, Councillor Brooks.
As you know, the therapy centre have an ambition to put a hydrotherapy building behind a pool. We've had a meeting with them since we last reported back. I think the clerk and ourselves are now going to work on bringing a proposal to full council. I'm not sure when, Madam Clerk, but I know we're working towards that. May, I think, yes. We can then get our decisions made to support the Map West Berkshire Council in terms of the use of the land. So we're bringing forward proposals to both organisations, both councils, and if they find favour, I can't say they will, but you know, can't presuppose. Then the therapy centre can go out and start to raise the funds based on the ability to deliver it if they raise the funds. A little bit chicken and egg. So this is moving forward positively, and I'm hoping by the middle of the year, they will be in fundraising mode. Thank you.
So that's good news. Okay, that brings us to the end of that section. We have one item apart. Yeah.
Meeting is 2 hours, we need to.
Okay, yes, can I have a proposal to continue as we're now past 9 o'clock?
Sorry, proposal, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And just this one item, I think we have to propose that's different.
Items, Mr. Mayor, I propose we exclude the press and public.
Thank you. Do I have a second for that? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Turn off the recording.
Yes, recording.
Garden stuff.